This is one of the first books ever published on the subject of training for strength. It was written by a man named William Blaikies in 1879. Okay, well obviously it's just a copy of the book. Behold, a wondrous tomb, an ancient landmark of physical might. Printed in the year of our Lord, 1879. This is one of the first books ever written on the subject of strength training. This is an original first edition copy from 1879, which makes it 147 years old, or the age of my great granddad in the spirit world. It was studied by the great patriarchs of physical culture such as Sandow and Maxick as the first book they read on the subject of strength training, and likely helped catalyse the physical culture movement that spawned in the early 1900s. I bought it a few years ago when I got really curious about the history of the gym movement and wanted to see how and where it all started. With the fitness industry as it is today, it's so easy to get lost in the weeds of information and misinformation overload. I think it's sometimes good just to go back right to the beginning to reset your aim. Some examples of the chapters in this book are: do we inherit shapely bodies? Half-built boys? Is it too late for women to begin? What a gymnasium must be and do. Now the last chapter of this book is titled What Exercise to Take Daily, and basically consists of workout routines for different walks of life. Now, I'm pushing 40 years old. I have a family and I run my own business, so I probably fall closer to the category of businessman rather than young man. However, for the purpose of this video, I want to demonstrate the workout designed for young men. And if you feel compelled, why don't you join me too? Daily exercise for young men. On rising, let him stand erect. Brace his chest firmly out, and breathing deeply, curl dumbbells, each of about 1/15 of his own weight. 50 times without stopping. This is biceps work, enough for the early morning. Then, placing the bells on the floor at his feet and bending his knee a little and his arms none at all, rise to an upright position with them 50 times. The loins and back have had their turn now. After a minute's rest, standing erect, let him lift the bells 50 times as far up and out behind him as he can, keeping elbows straight and taking care when the bells reach the highest point behind to hold them still there a moment. Now the underside of his arms and about the whole of the upper back have had their work. Next, starting with the bells at the shoulders, push them up high over the head and lower 50 times continuously. Now the outer part of the upper arms, the corners of the shoulders and the waist have all had active duty. Finally, after another minute's rest, start with the bells high overhead and lower slowly until the arms are in about the position they would be on a cross, the elbows being always kept unbent. Raise the bells to height again, then lower, and so continue until you have done 10. Care being taken to hold the head 6 or more inches back of perpendicular, and to steadily face the ceiling directly overhead while the chest is swelled out to its uttermost. Rest half a minute after doing 10, then do 10 more, and so on until you have accomplished 50. This last exercise is one of the best known chest expanders. Now that these 5 sorts of work are over, few muscles above the waist have not had vigorous and ample work. The lungs themselves have had a splendid stretch, and you have not spent over 15 minutes on the whole operation. If you want to add a little hand and forearm work, catch a broomstick or stout cane at or near the middle, and holding it at arm's length, twist it rapidly from side to side 100 times with one hand, and then with the other. In the late afternoon, a 5-mile walk on the road, at a 4-mile pace, with the step inclined to be short, the knees bent but little, and the foot pushing harder than usual as it leaves the ground. This will be found to bring the legs and loins no inconsiderable exercise. All, in fact, that they will probably need. If, shortly before bedtime each evening, the youth, after he has been working as above, say for a month, will, in light clothes and any old and easy shoes, run a mile in about 7 minutes and a half, and, a little later, under the 7 minutes. Or, 3 nights a week, make the distance 2 miles each night, there will soon be life and vigour in his legs, which used to be unknown. And if 6 months of this work brings a whole inch or more on thigh and calf, it is only what might have been expected. And there you have it, a strength training program from the late Victorian era. It was actually fairly well rounded, with some good strength exercises in there that will definitely give you some muscle soreness the first few times you try it. It also included some light cardio with a healthy amount of walking to get your steps in at a good nip. There was some progression in there, and it even goes on to recommend that if you've got more time, to do some pull-up and dip work at a local gymnasium. But it must be real work and no dawdling. I really love the simplicity, before it became about comparison or competition. Before drop sets and supersets, micros and macros, EPOs, peptides, calorie tracking, pre-workouts, protein shake, whoops and Strava. Before particle science and bro science tried to explain everything and made it all boring. Just 15 minutes of weights in the morning and a brisk walk in the afternoon, and voila. Simple and effective. You're not likely to burn out on that. Chance of injury is low. Chance of getting stronger and feeling healthier, quite high. Thank you all for watching. You can probably tell I enjoyed making this one. If you liked it too, then please leave a like or a comment, and feel free to suggest future videos for me. And perhaps I'll see you there. Godspeed.